it's going to go on. So in the summers, we normally have been running 13 camps through the summer, usually 3 concurrently. Some of them are 1 week, some 2 weeks, some 3 week. Usually some are residential, some are day camps, lots of variation there on age and structure. This summer we cut it down to 8 because we had to do everything virtual. And so we took more time to train our undergraduate students who teach the sections. We call them ambassadors. So we wanted to have lots of training for them, because teaching online, teaching with people of different ages, different content, because they switch different weeks to different camps. So if you want to know all what we do in the ARIB initiative, you can click on that link, or Diana's probably put it in the chat already. And that just lists a lot of the things we do. We do have workshops all through the year, not just in the summer. We normally have after school, after school programs at the nearby schools, but because of everything going virtual this fall, we're going to be expanding that to reach all schools. And because we always had the problem of geography, of getting our ambassadors from the university to the schools, we obviously don't have that problem anymore, or that limitation. So watch for things for your students. And we do pretty all ages, different things for different ages. Actually, we started like 3rd grade. We haven't gone lower than 3rd grade for our after school programs yet. I taught college most of my life, so getting down to middle school was a leap, and then going to elementary was a little more of a leap. But one document that we created while we did our training, in the ARIB initiative, I have a full-time staff of 3, plus multiple graduate students. And then during the school year, we have about 50 undergraduates that work for us. During the summer, we have 15. So this summer, we did a lot of training. First, we did 2 weeks of getting ready for the training, and then almost 5 weeks of training the ambassadors. And what we created for them is this document. And this is mainly what I'm going to go through with you, showing you the different tools. Now, some of them won't be applicable because, you know, ELMS is the learning platform we use. And depending on what you're teaching, different ones may or may not be appropriate for you. But I wanted to show you some of the ways that we made our summer camps interactive. So that's my plan for today. So all of the things on this list have gone through the UMD, University of Maryland, legal office, and our DIT, which is our Division of Information Technology, to make sure they're both FERPA and COPA compliant. So we do know that that's the case. We had to verify that before we could use anything with kids. If that's, is that somebody raising a hand, or just somebody
coming in?
Okay, okay. I couldn't recognize which bells or which yet. Okay, so I want to start by finding out who you are. So this is one of the tools we use, and it's Annotate within Zoom. So up at the top, you'll see that it's my screen that's being shared. And next to that, you have more, or it can be worded differently that you annotate directly there. So go to Annotate, and why can't I find it when I'm doing it in front of people? Annotate is right up on top for me. And go to Stamp, and the arrow that's right here. Everybody can see my screen, right? and then you say what you teach. Okay, so I'd like to see where everybody is.
Just
And
so
I
you know,
put,
nobody can see your controls when you're showing. We can't see your annotate tools or anything
oh,
like that. None of that shows
okay,
up in Zoom. So
okay.
everybody's got to figure out where they're more ...
Yeah, it's different on different computers. Anybody having trouble finding the annotate?
Yeah, on mine, I see an arrow there and I see a check mark. Under view options, mine is up at the top where it says you're viewing Jandal and Dawn Plain screen. And then under
Yeah.
view options, I can find the annotate there on mine.
So, oh, and some people put text in. That's fine.
Ah.
Okay. So when you have a large, we did classes of closer to 15 going at a time. So I realize that's not large how compared to what you're going to be doing, but it's a quick way to make sure people are responding to what you did. Sometimes they get overzealous and start drawing all over and things like that. One nice thing is that it's really easy. I always did a warning that I'm going to turn it off now. I can't see my mouse pointer. Oh, come on. Okay. So you can always turn it off. And that's an important thing under more, I think, because it's not mine to share. But Diane is going to clear them all. And then we'll go on to the next. And the next slide. Oh, come on. Okay, clear all drawings. And I have to close the annotate, but my mouse button is the same color as my background. That's my problem. Okay, so then once we close that, we can go on to the next slide. It's not. Okay. And then I want to hear your thoughts on how comfortable you are with teaching online. And by that, I mean, assuming kids are going to be completely not in your classroom. Because I think the hardest part of teaching online will be making sure the kids are staying engaged. And so we've got all the way across the board. I like the scary face that somebody drew. That's a good indication of how some people are feeling. And so notice all across the board, we did pre and post on a lot of the little lessons about how comfortable are you now, did a lesson, and then showed the same screen to make sure the box, the average box was moving. And yes, middle school kids got into using the stamp a little too much sometimes, but you know, we could pretty much tell. There isn't a way to figure out who did what stamp, but after they got over the uniqueness of it, they tended to do what they were told with it instead of just playing. Okay, so since we had across the board as far as elementary, middle, and high school, but we don't have as many people as I thought, so I think we'll do this a little different than I intended. So I think Diane put the Jamboard link in. When we go to Jamboard, I was going to have one sheet for each because this is, if you have a lot of people, it's a way to get group information. So I made one Jamboard about elementary, one about middle, and one about high school. But since there's so few of us, I don't think there's enough to have many on each Jamboard. So why don't we just all put it on the elementary one? Over here on the left, there's something that looks like a sticky note. You bring up a sticky note and you type in what you teach and put it on the board. So you can put more than one thing if you teach multiple things. I would just like to have everybody give me some sticky notes.
I don't know why, but the sticky notes aren't showing up for me.
Over here on the left?
Yeah, no, they're not popping up at all.
Fourth?
It's view only.
I have it like that too.
Oh,
I went to page 1 with the elementary.
okay.
When you make a Jamboard, you have to share it with Edit, right?
I did, and I thought I did it for everybody who had access to the link.
Anyone who has the link can access, no sign-in. I guess access isn't the same as change? Yeah, it says anyone on the internet with this link can view, the way it is right now.
Okay, do you know where I change it?
I'm assuming up in the share on the top right, over there.
Okay.
Are you able to change it to change that?
Anyone with the link?
So it's a lot like Google Docs, huh? Did Google?
Yeah, because it is part of the Google Suite. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's built into yeah. The
Okay,
Google
now can you create them?
Let's see. Might have to refresh the screen. Oh, sure enough, there they are.
Okay, sorry, I just read it wrong. And I always did it from the beginning, so I didn't think about how to change it. So if everybody can put in something that you teach. So just create as many sticky notes as you want to. And notice how we've got all these dots over here. That's because somebody was still in Annotate. And so that's why I was going to disable attendee annotation after. If somebody was still annotating. You can choose your color.
And you can move other people's sticky notes around.
Yeah, we'll do that in a minute. Put out a couple things.
Kind of annoying that your note stays stuck in the middle. You can't move it out of the way while you're making notes.
Okay, so we have a few out there. Now, the other thing I did with this is after people had made a bunch of sticky notes, we asked the group to together classify them. You know, so like I would put cryptology and ciphers together. I would probably put Ozobots somewhere near Lego Mindstorms. You know, so the working together and having their microphones on and having to discuss, does this go with that? I think actually got them thinking more. The other benefit is it gets them reading what other people have said. Because even in the classroom, part of the problem is that students give their answer and they often think that's the answer. you know, and then don't really listen to other people. But if they have to organize the things, and also there are, I mean, this one, there wasn't a lot of options of different ways to organize, but we did them with the different programming languages for the upper level students in my middle school program, because they had learned several over the years. And they had to categorize, and some people more categorized by when they learned it, and some more categorized by what they had to know to do that. You know, so it got into a good discussion about different ways of categorizing. Okay. The other nice thing about Jamboard is oh, some people were putting them on the middle school. Okay. The other nice thing about Jamboard is you can set up multiple boards, you know, all of them that you're going to use for that day ahead of time. So what are you most apprehensive about with teaching online this fall? Now, some people might say they keeping people engaged, and I would probably classify that as, so you can have people put their sticky notes on and classify them at the same time. You know, so I had set up this with the circles and then labels ahead of time so that people could put it. Working with a large group of kids, yeah. Yeah. So you get the idea of how Jamboard works, and then give some time for students to do this, and then also give them time to discuss. So even in a large group, you know, why did that person put that there? For teaching computer science, one thing I've done is like had a question like this and said, what is the output? Now, if you don't know Python, that won't make sense, but you know, everybody opens up a sticky note. And when you have your sticky note open, nobody sees it until you actually save it. So everybody can be typing their answers in. So everybody type answers in about what you think the output is. And if you don't know, just write anything. But have everybody write one right now, just because of timing. Okay. When you are done, don't press enter. Don't do the save. But instead, at the bottom of the screen, there are a thing called reactions. Is that what it's called? I can't see mine because I'm sharing. But I want to see a thumbs up when you're done. Don't press the save. If you saved yours with the question marks there, undo it, because I want to show what happens when they all put it in at once. So when you have an answer typed in, even if it's I don't know, that's fine. You know, give me a thumbs up. And in the bottom right corner of the screen, you can choose to give me emotions. And so then a thumbs up will appear in this little picture. There, Felicia just gave me a thumbs up. And Angela gave me a thumbs up. And so once everybody has given me a thumbs up, they go away after a little while, so you sort of have to remember. But once I get a couple more, then I'll tell everybody, save now. So everybody put your answers in, and all you have to do is press save, and all of these boxes appear at the same time. I should have at least 4, because 4 people gave me thumbs up. Okay.
We need more practice.
What?
We need more practice.
Okay. Yeah, I realized this was assuming Python, but that's what I was teaching at the time. So, you know, it was a example, and loops and conditionals. So yeah, but then you can also have typed in one that has the right answer, and then you have all the wrong answers around it and the right answer there too. Going through the wrong answers is as important as going through the right answers. So
I had a quick question there about where are you doing the thumbs up? Sandra was wondering.
Okay, so if you go to the bottom of your screen of the Zoom screen, there is a bar of three, or a bar of things that one of them says share screen. I don't know what all the options are. And then the far right one is yeah, so Maria got it. Who asked the question?
Sandra did.
Okay.
Ah, she got it. Found it.
Okay, found it. Okay. So I use those as a quick, just how when you look around the classroom, you look to see who's looking up, who's not writing anymore. We can't do that, especially since people didn't turn on their cameras. And so the thumbs up is a quick way of saying, I got it, So those we started them on real early. Okay. So some benefits of Jamboard, like I said, allows all the students to put their answers in. So if you have the thing that where you call on somebody to answer, other people might not be done or might have whatever. They did this really well. I mean, yes, I was only in groups of 15, but they were really good about not pressing the save until we told them press save. And so something like that, the actual answer to that is about 7 lines long. And so it does take a little time to get it all out there. And this way, everybody gets to answer, and you can see how many are getting it right and how many are getting it wrong. But also it forces students to read the other answers and figure out, what happened. I guess one of the ambassadors always had them write their answers in a different color, and then they changed the color of the ones that were correct so that matched the correct answer. Yeah, you can do that too. You can, because we can have multiple Jamboards going at one time, they can be working in groups. They can't be talking to each other, which is actually a hard part of this online environment, but they can be correcting each other's and giving comments on each other's. An alternate way is to have a Jamboard for each student. So you can actually say, just basically you're like distributing it. Each one has their own Jamboard. The negative there is you can't see them all. Unless if you did it across, but then you still can't see them all at one time. So we've done things like that where, we wanted them to draw a diagram, because you can draw on the Jamboard and stuff like that too. And we wanted them to each draw something. And then we had them turn it in by doing a screen capture. Sorry. For programming, I mainly used it for tracing rather than for writing code, just because it doesn't format code nicely. It makes it a little hard. Okay. Another tool I used a lot was Kahoot. So go to kahoot.it. Sorry. And I'm going to go back over here because I have my Kahoot open somewhere. There it is. Okay. So we're going to use it in the teaching environment, which our stuff was all done synchronously, so we used that. You can do it externally, so asynchronous with a sign. And then I stuck to the classic because it's really hard to do teams when they're not physically together. So go to kahoot.it and type in this number. You can do this on a smartphone or on your computer screen. Okay, okay, I have 3 players. Do I have any more that want to play?
It sure generates silly names for people. Diligent Dragon, oh, that's a good one.
Okay. Oh, somebody wants to come in. Okay. If you want to play the Get to Know Your Teacher game, go to kahoot.it and type in that number. Okay. That's about it. Anybody else? Closing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, we got one more. Okay. So then I say start. So for this group, what is your teacher's name? And there's a time or based on when all the answers are in. Most of you got it right. Okay. And we know who's in first place. One other nice thing I like about Kahoot is that it's also based on speed. So if you answer faster, you get more points. What does your teacher teach? And you can change how long this is, but it's counting down over here on the left.
So it'll advance either when everybody's answered or when the timer goes down?
Yeah, right. And there were only 5 answering, so somebody is registered but not playing. Everybody got that one right. And the Diligent Dragon is in the lead. Now, only a couple of you, or only one of you will know this, I think. And I hope you don't think I'm from Mars. Okay, so now I'm actually going to skip the next one because it's just another, get to know you type one. But you can also use it for another get to know you type one. Okay, I didn't go anywhere this summer. But using it for computer science type questions. So if you had just done an exercise and you wanted to see if they recognized the symbols or something like that, you can do this. And yeah, that is going to be the pig pen one we're going to use. Then at the end, it does give points. And only got 4 out of 6 because I skipped 2 of them, because it does take a while to do those. But the nice thing about Kahoot is you can make it very, I don't know, they get really excited about the competition. And so, and the nice thing is that you can change the length of the questions. So if it's a programming one where they were going to need to do some time to figure it out, like the tracing one I showed you, then you can make that one longer. And then if it's something about, what's the name of your teacher, it'd probably be shorter. And so then there's not so much, I didn't do all that for today's, but when I do it for a class, I do. Another one we had fun with was Goose Chase, which is for scavenger hunts. And one example of this is when they were learning cryptology, we gave them a list of things to find around the house, and we encrypted the words. And then they had to go send pictures and submit the pictures of those things around their house, like a spoon. They had to find a spoon. Everybody's got a spoon in their house, and they were all doing this from home. So it worked. Poll Everywhere works for quizzes, but we also had a lot of good response for that with the word clouds, where you're answering, a single word about what's the most important about this or whatever, and you get the idea. One I want to spend a little more time on, because I think it's really neat, is this Flippity.net. So Flippity.net has all these different options of different things you can do. So things like, for cryptology, we did a word search, except what we did was the words were encrypted, and then they had to find the decrypted version. Or it could go the other way too. Actually, I think we did do the other way. We did do the other way. They had to find the encrypted version. We were doing a shift cipher. So just to show you how easy it is to do, is that they're going to get, a thing like this that they can then go and highlight, the words. So, it's not. Okay, and you can do a word search, word scramble is also a fun one. The one I've made for, the quiz show they really liked, although they like Jeopardy too. They did that one a lot. But the one I made for you is at this location. It's go.umd.edu/flip1. So if you click there, I made up a programming one that it's actually the code I gave you before, but you have to figure out which things come first. So if I want, and I color coded it. So you have to choose one of the yellow ones for I in range. But in Python, you actually don't put the range in parentheses. So for I in range 5. Okay. And then you might have, I would have done a whole description of what they had to do. And then if I is 2, then you're going to continue. And if I is 4, we're going to break. And then we're going to print. Oh, they just realized I didn't put the print at the front. So I can move them and then say I high, it'd line up there, and I low. Okay, so now I don't know if you're looking at my screen or if you're looking at your own, but each one of you is working in a different screen for this. We're not seeing each other's, right?
Right. So we took our own copy, huh?
Yes. And so then what I did was have somebody volunteer to share their screen. So Diane, did you write the Python code?
Did I what?
Did you write it? Did you put the Python code
I
together?
put some stuff in there, but I was too busy doing other stuff, but I'm happy to share my screen.
Then you can share your screen.
I will steal it from you because I am the host. So there's mine.
Okay.
I got there. I found this one. I found this. I found that one, but I didn't put it up there.
Okay.
One of these was a break. One of these was a continue.
Yeah. And I didn't give you the whole description, so it's a little hard to
try testing our
tell you.
There.
Okay, so it would have been a little more structured than that. But notice how, while she has her screen up, if she had things out of order, we could talk about why, you know, it needed to move to a different place. And then somebody else could share their screen. And yes, you each have your own copy, and that goes for the word searches and stuff like that too. So because we're using Elms, what we could do is have them do screen captures, and then they submitted the screen capture. So, you know, they had to do whichever piece they could, and then we knew if everybody was participating. Okay.
So those are all interactives, and is it free?
Yeah, the reason I couldn't do mine when I was showing you the demo is because it was a demo one. And so I can move these around because it's one I made, not just a demo. Okay, so if we go back to the Flippity in general, so the kinds of things that work real well for computer science are the putting code in order, you know, and I did it, I color coded it, but I didn't have whole lines together. At one level, you want to have whole lines, and then they move a line, and all they're doing is putting the lines in order. Or you can break it up to parts of the line, depending on what you're trying to teach. You can do it so there's no wrong code in it, that it is just the lines of correct code. And if it's just the lines of correct code, it's just a matter of ordering, and probably like for Python, indenting, you know, so you can get more details with the language syntax or not, depending on what you're trying to get across with that lesson. Another one I really like are the flashcards. Let me just show you the demo of the flashcards. With the flashcards, they put a question on one side, and then you can flip it over and find the answer. And you can go to the next one. And so what we did was actually had them jointly create a list of flashcards. And then they did it for, you know, everybody looked at everybody else's flashcards. Just to give you an idea of how easy this is to create, you download the template, and in the template, it tells you what you need. For example, in the code one, it was what terms and what color. So if you download the template, then you just start filling in this spreadsheet. The spreadsheet has other tabs. We can have background colors and different options. And then to make it available, all you have to do is have them click on this link. And I made it a shortener. I used the shortener. So, oh, the other piece you have to do is file and publish to the web. And yes, your Flippity is publicly available then, but it's also a 26 character long URL that's random string. So somebody else finding your Flippity is pretty unlikely, you know? So I guess I didn't worry about that too much. So when you're at the Flippity general page, let me just take you through it. So for making flashcards, we would say template, make a copy. And that is making my own copy of the template. Notice the template has tabs down here at the bottom. Can you see the bottom of my screen? I'll move it up. Has tabs. And we called this one, this is still called demo because I just downloaded it. But they had the capital of Malaysia, the answer, what color you wanted it, what color you wanted the text. If you leave them blank, the default color, I think for all of them, the background color is white and the text color is black. But all you're doing is making these columns. And if you already have, for example, a list of vocabulary words that you want them to have memorized, you can just create the Flippity. If you want the students to submit words and their definitions, I created a Google form and had them to give me pairs. And then I just copied from that sheet that's created from the Google form into this, you know? So you're just creating it. And once, I'm gonna just put it in Jan Plain. We're gonna see if we know people's last names. Diane, Grady Cuniff. We're not gonna type that because I'd spell it wrong. We have Angela Maddox. Okay, so I just picked, you know, the people had first and last names that I could see right away. Then you just say file and publish to the web and just say publish. And are you sure you want? Yes, I do. Now notice this URL. It's huge. So even though it's publicly available on the web, I am not worried about other people finding it. Then we can close that. And over here, I just click on this button. And get it to follow it. Just a minute. Having trouble. Hyperlink. Open link. And now notice this is my Flippity. Jan Plain. Diane O'Grady Cuniff. Angela. So it's that easy to create one of these. And that's why having the students submit ideas, so having the students make question answers is a really good way to see if they know what the important stuff is, you know? And going from a Google form, which puts it into columns and rows in an Excel document, well, in a Google Sheet, copying it into here, you know, took like no time, and then everybody could do the Flippity. Now, I don't usually just give this one because it's huge, you know? So if you make a shortener or put it on a, I don't know, in the Elms or whatever learning environment you're using, so they don't have to type that. Because I realize right now you're just seeing it really big, which would make it really hard to type. Okay. Any questions? Oh. So, right back to here.
Here's
All of,
from
oh,
Karen. She was just asking, are there any problems with the ads? And I wasn't sure, like add-ons, is that what?
no ads that show.
Oh, advertising.
Advertising. I guess they don't see this screen. And so in the Flippity itself, you don't have any advertisements. So this is what the students see. And so yes, as a free user of it, you see advertisements, but other than the Flippity advertisement, there's nothing that goes to the student. Okay, in that original list, all of these have a free version. So we did not do anything where we had to pay for software for the camps for the summer. So now some of them do require installation. So like PyCharm turned out to be a major problem because it's something that had to be installed. A lot of the kids were using Chromebooks from the county or from their school, which meant they couldn't do it. I played with a Chromebook hours and hours because it said you could do it without, and I could not get it to work. And so we ended up going to loaner computers for those kids from us, even though they already had a Chromebook for that one camp, which was using PyCharm. For, if you're going to be teaching HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I really recommend going with Carrot as your text editor because it's an add-on. It's an add-on of Chrome. So it's easy in the Chromebooks and everybody else can use it too. So that way they're all in the same environment. Something we learned along the line. For the Scratch, we used the online version. We had parents make accounts on everything. This was something they had to do before the start of the camp. The parents made all of the accounts, not the kids, because that way any advertisements or anything like that that went out from the publisher went to the parents. I'd rather have the parents annoyed than the kids.
There was a question from Gloria about, is everything in Nearpod free? Is that on your list there?
There is a version that it's free, but the one that has all the options on it and stuff isn't. So for all of these, there's a version that's free. And yeah, that version might not have all the things you want, but it's free. So that's why we went with the, least expensive. Same thing for Goose Chase, Padlet, even Jamboard has a more advanced version that allows you to do more things. A lot of these require accounts to be made, so you have to know what your rules are there. The bottom half of this, because we were training students, our college students, to teach K to 12, we've put together a whole collection of what people have published that are best practices for working with kids online. I really suggest that you address things like cyberbullying, especially if you're at the middle school level, I think, right away. And those are some some resources we found for that. Team building exercises are really important because especially if you're in a school where you have, 80% of the second graders going to third grade together, but then you have that 20% that don't know the other kids. We need to do stuff right in the beginning of the semester that they don't feel, left out. And some of those team building exercises are good. They had a lot of fun with a couple of the different, team builder / mind game type things. So you can mix a little reasoning skills in with the icebreakers, and I like those best, but that could be more me.
Which ones were like that?
They would do ones that were like, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but deserted island, which things would you take with you? And then you have to tell the reasoning why. We did those kind of things on Jamboard because that was a way to everybody get their ideas out and then see who else had it with. A reasoning one where you had a set of rules and you had to figure out which one didn't work with that set. That you have to have Billy sitting to the left of Alice and Alice has to be on the far right, and Carol has to be to the right of Alice or something like that. Then you realize two of these can't work together. So where are the contradictions? So those were ones we did in the middle school group. And then it was just questions.